Hi, welcome back to another episode of HRC at Home Fitness. Today we're going to run you through a little core circuit. Today you will need a mat if you have one, also a single weight dumbbell, water bottle, anything that's kind of weighted you can use at home. We're going to start off today in a sit-up position. I'll turn on those mats. We're going to sit back. We're just going to relax those hands at the side or on your chest, whatever's comfortable. We're going to merge that spine down to the floor, holding nice and tight. We're also going to continue to breathe. We also want to focus on taking that belly button in and up. And release that tension. Again, second time, we're going to merge that spine to the floor. Belly button goes in and up. Those core muscles are going to be flexing and holding and tensing. And release. Last time, come down and hold. And release that tension. Again, relax those arms. Take the knees side to side, loosening up our core muscles, lower back. Get prepared for our workout today. And we're going to go to the side, come back to middle. We're going to maintain that hip or that sit-up position. We're going to go into a hip raise. We're just going to raise those hips off the mat or the floor. Come back down nice and slow. This Ken's warming up our hamstrings and our glutes, which is also part of our core muscle group. Coming up, lowering down, nice and slow. Feel that tension on all those rear muscle groups back there. We'll go one last time. Pull it up, down nice and slow. We're going to maintain that sit-up position still. We're going to come up and keep those hands out front. We're going to go a nice, slow roll back. Extend those hands up overhead. And we'll reach back up front. I'm going to do our sit-up with our slow sit back. Rolling backwards, reaching up overhead. We'll go one last time, back up top, rolling back. This time we're going to keep those hands up overhead. If you want to modify, you can tuck those hands underneath your seat. If you come out front, we're going to a hollow rock, rocking back and forth. The goal here is to maintain that tension in the core, stiff body. And we'll roll it all the way back up. We're going to go in a standing position, come to that front of that mat. Yeah, we're going to go into a Y stance or a wider stance, into our Y stance. Going to come across the body, reaching for that knee. We're going to progress down towards the shin or ankle. And we're going to work our way down all the way to our toes. And maintaining that Y stance, shoulder, hands behind the back as you rotate. You don't want to drop that shoulder. Loosen up that shoulder joint. Activating again all those core muscles. Come back up top. We'll bring those feet together. We're going to take some hands out front. We're going to go in teeter-totter motion. Feet comes back, coming out with the hands. Again, nice slow movements. If you got to come back and tap that toe, you can to help regain that balance. This exercise can be a little bit difficult sometimes, so if you find yourself really struggling and finding your balance in your center, you can always helps to use your visual. Find a spot on the floor or out in front of you to help maintain that balance. And we're going to switch legs. Again, coming backwards with the foot, arm out front. Back to our standing position. Again, nice and slow and under control. And listening and feeling the body. Go two more here. Back with the leg, hands out front. Finding that balance. Last time. Back to our standing position, and we'll go to the mat. I'm gonna start off today with some sit-ups. Today, Gail and Chris are gonna do our modifications. They're gonna be doing some crunches. We're gonna follow that with reverse crunch. Modifications, just single leg, into some side planks. So we'll go back to our sit-up position. We're gonna go for a set of 10. Modifications to crunch, sit-ups the exercise. We'll go. Try to keep those hands on the shoulders. With the crunch, you can kind of reach for your ankles or keep those hands on the shoulder, whatever you choose. Sometimes people put their hands behind their neck, which is okay. We just don't want to pull that neck. Whatever's comfortable for you. Go one more rep. And back to our sit-up position. And keep those hands underneath the seat if you want, or behind the head. We're gonna go to reverse crunch, extend those legs out. Modification is alternating legs. Make sure here we're nice and slow and controlled movements. We're also gonna focus on our breathing, so we're gonna exhale as our feet extend. A couple more reps here, coming in, out. We'll go one more. Back to middle, drop those feet, turn to our side. Again, modification here. Come up to an extended position, otherwise stay on the elbow. And come up into that side plank. If you also want to have a hand down on the mat, help stabilize that body, you can. If not, you can bring it up all the way to an extension. We're holding here for 20 seconds. We'll go 10 more. And bring it down, switching sides. Coming to the other side. And everybody up. Find that stable. Bring that arm, extend up overhead. Again, we're holding. Focus on our breathing. Maintaining a stable position, body. 5 seconds. 3, 2, and down. Good. Back to our sit-up position. Crunches on modifications, hand on the shoulders. Coming up for 10. Up. And back down. One thing people tend to do on a lot of core movements is to rush the movements. It's actually better for you to nice and slow. So sometimes it's not as important to do as many sit-ups as fast as you can, or crunches, but more controlled movements at less repetitions. We'll go one more. This time we're gonna come up and we're gonna hold in kind of V position. We'll take those hands out front. If you wanna lift those feet off the floor, you can. Tuck those hands under your hamstrings if you find yourself having difficulty holding. Bring those feet back down, roll it all the way back. Give them hands behind the head, modified underneath the seat. Go into a reverse crunch. And we'll extend those feet out and back in. Halfway there. Remember to exhale as the feet are extending outwards. Last one. Good. Turn into our side, come back to our side planks. Everybody up. You can find that balance. Extend that arm up overhead. And we're holding. Halfway through. 5 seconds. 3, 2, and down. Switching sides. You can find that position. Whatever's comfortable, come up. Maintain that balance. Extend that hand up overhead. Again, we're holding, also remember to breathe. Important part of core. 5 seconds. 3, 2, and down, good. We're gonna grab that single weight, maintain that sit-up position. We're gonna go into a V-up or reverse crunch with the weight. So our weight's gonna be on our chest. We're gonna extend that up overhead. If you wanna modify, you go back into those alternating legs, okay? If you want to go to more advanced, we're gonna use a straight leg from the floor. Weight's gonna come up overhead, or just gonna come together and apart. So it's called a V-up. Coming together for 1. Again, alternating legs. For the modification. If you find like your weight's too heavy for you, you can kind of bring those hands in a little bit closer and bring it towards the knees instead of up overhead. And if you find you also need to tap the floor when you come back down, you can. Otherwise, try to maintain that core flexion all the way through the exercise. We'll go 1 more rep. Now back to middle, rotating towards our front side. We're gonna grip that weight with our single hand. We're gonna hold a plank position. If you wanna modify, you just leave those knees on the floor, make sure our butts are not back, we're nice and straight. If you wanna come up to that extended position, you can. We're gonna go into a row, bringing that weight straight up overhead. I'm gonna stay with one hand. And we're going for this exercise for 30 seconds. We're halfway through. Rotating all the way up overhead. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and switching hands. We're gonna switch on our mat so we can face you on TV. You can stay in that same head position. Come back to our extended plank or modify on the knees. Again, rowing, we have 30 seconds. Up overhead. Make sure we got those arms locked out. All the way up top, all the way to the floor. We have 10 more seconds. Row to that armpit. Extend up overhead. 2, 1, last rep. Good, coming back to our V-ups. And modify, alternate legs. You find yourself having difficulty with the weight, you can keep the arms bent, otherwise stay straight. And we're coming up. Make sure we're exhaling when the feet are lowered. Continue to breathe. We've got 1 last rep. Coming up, back down, rotating over to our front side. We're going to come back into that single dumbbell row, into our overhead extension. Again, find that plank position, 30 seconds. Here we go. And maintain that core tightness. Extend that weight all the way up overhead. 5 more seconds. Last rep. Up overhead, back down to the floor. Switching hands. Again, lock out those arms. Find that stable position in your plank. And we'll begin rotate. In that row, we want to come straight up to the armpit and up overhead. We have 10 more seconds. Three, two, last rep, reach up overhead. Coming back to our last set. And coming to our V-ups. Send that weight up overhead, feet extend out. Come together for 1. And try to maintain that tension all the way down to the floor. Nice and controlled movements. Also remember to exhale as the feet are lowered. We'll go one last rep, coming down, up overhead, back down to the floor, and rotating over to our front side. Come back to our plank rows, into overhead extension, and find that comfortable plank position, and we'll begin. And 10 more seconds. Nice full movements. Last rep. Switching sides. And coming back in that plank position, same exercise. Other side. Everybody up. And we'll go. And rowing that dumbbell towards the body. Want to keep it nice and close. Rotating those hips. Open up. Extend that hand up overhead. Have our plank row into overhead extension. 10 seconds. 5. We'll go one more rep. Mat, armpits up overhead. And good. Coming to another series. We're going to stay on those knees. We're going to go into some plank marching. Okay? Modification is still be on those hands. If you find you need to modify further, you can just stay with a single leg. Go a few reps on one leg into the other. Okay? Otherwise, come up to that full extension with the knees off the floor. We'll come up. We're going to go for a period of time here. We got our seated plank modification on the knees. And marching plank, begin. You have 30 seconds here. I'm going to focus on staying away from that down dog position and more towards that level plank. Shoulders over our wrists. Again, nice and controlled movements. Not to be confused with actual marching. We don't want to be here stomping. Toes are tapping. Last rep. Good. We're going to flip over to our backside or our seats. We're going to go into what's called reverse plank. And we're going to come onto those hands. Modification, you're going to go into that hip bridge we did at the beginning exercise. Sit back position, come up on our hips. Otherwise, on the hands. Everybody ready? Feet out front. We have our reverse plank. And we're holding for 30 seconds. Again, maintain that hip through, resisting gravity. We have 10 seconds. Feel that squeeze in the glutes. 3, 2, and back down. Good. We're going to come back to our single weight. We're going to go into a bicycle crunch. We're going to hold that weight up overhead. We're gonna send those legs out front, alternating, if we're going for time, and go. We're going for 30 seconds here. If you want to up the intensity here, you can see we're starting off with single legs. You can go into 2. Finishing up here, 5 more seconds. 3, 2, last extension, back in, and set that weight to the side. You can come back into our marching plank. This time if you're in that modified position with your knees on the floor, that's okay. We're also going to add those arms involved. Okay? So we're going to bring the opposite hand up to the opposite leg. So if our right leg comes up, our left arm will extend. Same thing in the full plank position. Again, we're going for time. Find that plank position and begin. Alternate arms. And the goal here is to not over-rotate. When you come into that alternating arm and feet marching plank. Last rep. Good. Flip it over to our back side. And go into that reverse plank. This time if you want to stay in that extended position on the hands, you can. If you feel like you get more of a workout on your elbows, you can do that. I'm going to go down to my elbows. Peter, stay on his hands. Back to the reverse plank or the bridge. Again, we're coming up for a hold. And we're holding for 30 seconds. Should feel that squeeze in your glutes. Also in your hamstrings. Remember to breathe, 10 more seconds. 5, 3, 2, and back down. Again, grabbing that single weight. We're extending that weight up overhead. Knees come to chest. Alternating legs, 30 seconds here. We have our bicycle crunch. Exhaling as the feet extend. If you want to take that intensity up a notch, you can go to both legs. In 10 more seconds. 5. Last rep, extend those feet out. Back in to our front side. And last set here, we have our marching plank. Find that stable position, either modified or extended arms and feet off or knees off the mat. Again, marching. We're going to raise those arms up as well. Again, we're going for time here. Maintain that shoulder position over the wrist. Nice and stable. Back. Almost finished here. 5 more seconds. Last rep. Go back to our back sides. Start off in that seated position. Again, elbows and hands on the reverse plank. Hip bridge on the modification. Everybody up. Again, resisting gravity here. It's a good exercise tool. Do a lot of body weight stuff without any implements. A plank is an excellent exercise. Reverse plank is just another way to change that. We have 3 seconds here. 2, 1. Bring those hips back down the floor. Back to our sit-up position. Grab our single weight. Extend up overhead. Knees to chest. And we'll begin bicycle crunches. With our weight up overhead. Again, if you want to increase intensity on this guy, you can go into both legs. Remember to breathe, exhale. 10 more seconds here. Two more reps. Out, back in, last rep. Way back to chest, to the side. Again, we'll come to all fours. We're going to a stretching routine. Hands out front, sit back on the heels. Stretching out that lower back. And you come forwards, drop those hips. Shoulders stay up. Open up your front side, your stomach. We're going to sit back, thread that hand through those shoulders. And we'll switch sides. It'll come back to a seated position. Again, I want to thank you today for visiting us on another episode of HRC At Home Fitness. Today with me I have Peter, Kristen, and Gail. If you find this class or this video series interesting, we have a class for that, core class on Monday, Wednesday nights. Come give us a call or stop at the HRC Fitness Center. We can walk you through the details. See you next time.